Dusk had just fallen. New York shimmered like a stage before curtain call neon lights flickering, the sound of traffic pounding like the chaotic heartbeat of a city that never sleeps. Yet amid the pulse and clamor, on the rooftop of a glass tower near Union Square, a man stood motionless. The wind howled, whipping the hem of his charcoal gray trench coat. He didn't flinch. Below him, hundreds of city lights reflected in his tired but still burning eyes. He watched the sea of illumination like a stranger would, even though he had once been part of it. That man was Leo Grant, CEO and founder of Skylink Technologies, the platform once hailed as the first truly ethical social network of the 21st century. 3 years ago, Skylink was a celebrated unicorn. No ads. No emotional manipulation. No algorithms designed to hook users. Leo had built Skylink as a haven, a platform where freelancers, gig workers, and those cast aside by the modern economy could connect with clients fairly and transparently. But now, just 3 years later, Leo Grant's name sat atop every major tech headline. Leo Grant, from humanitarian icon to Silicon Valley's most polarizing CEO. Skylink on the brink? Founding team resigns amid push for nonprofit status. Skylink implodes. CEO alone, at the crossroads of ethics and profit. Leo didn't need to read the news. He knew better than anyone the earthquake that had torn through the soul of the company he had built with everything he had. 3 days ago, nearly 70% of the executive team walked out. The reason? We cannot align with the direction of turning Skylink into a nonprofit. That's what they said. But Leo knew the truth. They didn't want a humane Skylink. They wanted a Skylink that could replicate addictive algorithms, drive compulsive scrolling, pull in investors, and go public as fast as possible. And when Leo firmly refused to run ads or sell user data, they labeled him naive. They said he was no longer the right leader. We need a more realistic CEO. One of the co-founders, Jacob Gray, had looked him dead in the eyes and said it. Leo had stayed silent. He didn't argue. He was used to betrayal, to being left behind, to being told he wasn't realistic enough, because he had known that pain since he was a child. Leo Grant was born in the poor South Side of Chicago. His mother worked 3 jobs at once: night shifts as a hospital janitor, cooking for the church on weekends, and doing laundry for neighbors just to make enough to raise her child. His father? Leo never knew his face. His childhood was made of long nights waiting for his mother to return home, her hands cracked and worn, her smile exhausted but still reaching out to gently pat his head and say, "You did great, baby. I saw it. Even if someone bullied you today, you're better than them, because you didn't hurt anyone." Those words were etched deep into Leo's heart. And they stayed there even when he found success. At 17, Leo was accepted to Stanford University on a full scholarship, not for perfect grades, but for a small project he created with a few friends, a micro-job matching app for unemployed people that helped them earn income without needing long-term contracts. He called it Lighthouse, because to him, a job wasn't just money. It was a light, something that reminded people they still had worth. The app didn't last more than 6 months, but the philosophy behind it never left him. When Leo graduated, instead of joining big tech with a 6-figure salary, he stayed in San Francisco, rented a tiny apartment, and began building Skylink with a single mission: to create a digital workplace where the underrepresented still had a voice. Now, those who once rallied beside him had turned their backs. Leo understood not everyone can stomach the cost of kindness in a ruthless market, but he still believed there had to be another way. He stepped away from the rooftop ledge and returned to the near-empty office. Only Mira Jensen remained, the faint glow of her laptop screen casting light on her focused face. She looked up when she heard his footsteps. "I'm auditing the entire user data set," she said. If we're serious about transitioning Skylink into a non-profit, we'll need to restructure everything from the back end. Leo smiled gently. You're not afraid? Of course I'm afraid, she said. But fear isn't a reason to walk away from what's right. The next morning, Leo sent out the most unprecedented email of his career. Subject line: an apology and a new beginning. It was addressed to every Skylink user. In the message, he admitted that Skylink had been swept up in the intoxication of growth, that recent algorithms, whether by accident or design, had slowly eroded the very kindness it was meant to protect, and that, starting today, Skylink would no longer be a profit-chasing startup, but a movement for ethical technology. He closed the letter with his mother's words: no matter what they say about you, if you can walk away knowing you never hurt anyone, you've already won. That email went viral, over 2 million shares in 24 hours. But with it came the beginning of a brutal war. Leo's email triggered a wave larger than any PR campaign he'd ever known. Within just 24 hours, the keyword Skylink climbed into the top 3 trending topics across the United States. Over 300,000 dormant users reactivated their accounts. 72 nonprofit organizations sent open letters requesting collaboration, and at the same time, a crisis ignited from within. Skylink headquarters. The next morning, an emergency executive meeting was called. The air in the room felt like thick static. Jacob Gray, co-founder of Skylink and current COO, slammed a stack of documents on the table. Leo, you acted on emotion. A heartfelt email doesn't pay salaries for 400 employees. It doesn't retain investors. He didn't wait for Leo's reply. I just received confirmation. Both Magnus Capital and Orbital Ventures are pulling funding following your move to make Skylink a nonprofit. Do you even know what we just lost? Leo stood up, his voice calm but steady. I know, we lost a lot. But if we keep going down the old path, we'll lose our soul. The room was taut like a wire. Mira glanced at Leo, then turned her laptop to display the latest data. Here's the post. Leo email breakdown. Shares, reactivations, and collaboration requests have quintupled in just 24 hours. For the first time in 2 years, users are saying, Skylink feels like it belongs to them again. A voice rang out from the back. But feelings don't keep the lights on, Mira. All heads turned. It was Cynthia Blake, Skylink's CFO, a woman who treated budgets like ammunition in wartime. We need capital to survive, unless Leo has a miracle up his sleeve. Leo took a deep breath. Not a miracle, just a path no one's dared to walk. Leo stepped to the front, started the presentation. No revenue charts, no market projections, just a simple map of the world. I call it the decentralized trust model, a social network that genuinely belongs to its community. He laid out his bold new vision. Skylink would become a nonprofit governed by its users via a DAO, decentralized autonomous organization. Revenue would come not from ads, but voluntary contributions, community partnerships, and ethical tech certifications. Every product decision would be voted on by users themselves. Any profit, if earned, would be reinvested into humane tech education initiatives. Jacob let out a dry laugh. You think users want to manage a company? They want entertainment. They want dopamine, Leo. Leo didn't flinch. They also want to be trusted. And when someone is trusted, they rise to it. A long silence followed. Then Mira spoke softly, almost as if to herself. We're a tech company, but maybe we could become a movement. 3 days after the speech, Skylink continued dominating headlines and social media, but the world wasn't unanimously supportive. On a leading tech forum, a popular post read, Leo Grant is destroying one of the most promising platforms for an idealistic fantasy. A well-known influencer tweeted, if Skylink fails, it'll be proof that kindness has no place in business. Hashtags began forming battle lines. Number: Team Leo. Number: Skylink eyes ours. Number: Down with idealism. 1 week later, Leo received a discreet email from a former employee. The subject line read simply, "Check the internal spending account. There's something you need to see." Leo and Mira pulled up the accounting system and uncovered a string of research advances signed off by none other than Jacob Gray. The total amounted to over $4.8 million in just 6 months. Mira went pale. This wasn't for Skylink. This is for a cloned source code Jacob's been secretly building? Leo said nothing. He simply typed a few lines and sent an urgent email to the executive board. Subject: Emergency Assembly. 9 p.m. tonight. Main conference room. 9:07 p.m. Jacob entered with his usual composure, adjusting his cufflinks like a man about to take the stage. Leo was waiting. The first slide appeared, detailed breakdowns of the shady expenditures, server trails leading to a hidden build labeled Skylink Alpha, a shadow platform poised for launch under a new name, Skycore. Jacob shrugged. "I was just protecting my legacy. You're killing Skylink with idealism. I couldn't let that happen." Leo looked him in the eye. "You're not protecting anything. You're just afraid of losing control. Number, I'm afraid of losing reality. And you are dreaming." The room erupted in tension. Mira stood up and presented a printed copy of a signed contract, Jacob's non-disclosure and non-compete agreement. His actions were in clear, willful breach. A midnight vote was called. Result: 8 out of 11 votes, Jacob Gray was permanently removed from Skylink's board. Skylink opened its first DAO, Decentralized Autonomous Organization, gateway to the community. The first 1 million users were granted voting rights to choose a new name for the platform. It was no longer just Skylink. It would become a symbol reborn. Top 3 contenders: Heartline, Trustwave, Luminet. Leo appeared on a global live stream, with millions watching. "I didn't choose this name. You did. Because this is your platform. We're no longer a startup. We're a collective reflection of the world we want to live in." Over 5 million votes poured in within 48 hours. The chosen name: Heartline. And from that moment, everything changed. 3 months later, Heartline grew slower than other platforms but stronger. No invasive ads, no manipulative clickbait. Users controlled the experience, not algorithms. Many left, but those who stayed were the ones who truly wanted a kind space. Leo received a handwritten letter from a school teacher in Montana. "My students use Heartline to share lessons and thank each other every day. It's something I've never seen before." 1 year later, Global Ethical CEO honors ceremony. Leo walked onto the stage. No tuxedo, just a white shirt and a calm smile. "I used to think technology was a blade, but I've learned it's a mirror. It reflects the people who build it. And today, I don't need to look in the mirror anymore, because I see all of you. If you believe kindness is not weakness but true courage, leave a heart in the comments. And if you've ever been called naive for choosing what's right, remember this: those who dare walk alone are the ones who eventually clear the path for the rest of the world."